All right, check it out. Welcome to the live IG. It's not really live. This is pre-recorded, and I'm with Mr. Carl Allen, and I'm gonna let Carl have the mic in a second. But Carl Allen is the first DJ that I'm gonna be speaking to amongst the award winners. I'm talking about the Old School Gold School event. That's why we're doing this in part. We're gonna honor these DJs with their Life Achievement Awards and treat them to dinner as well at the venue. And then we're gonna have a throwdown afterwards featuring some of these same DJs playing live. So I want to welcome you to the studio and say what's up.
Honored to be here with you, sir. Thank you very much.
I want to go back in time a little bit and talk a little bit about your history and your mystery, you know, and your impact in this whole urban scene, black music scene, Toronto scene, Canada scene. You've been one of the DJs who have definitely influenced the way that we do things right now. You have a whole legacy that, you know, if you didn't know, now you're gonna know. You know, we're all getting older, the fraternity's getting older, you're getting older, and it's nice to be able to be in the same place with these legends, even if it's for one night, where we have our gathering, our fraternity, and then we do what we do, which is play great music. So Carl, where were you born, and what year, if you were not born in Canada, did you come to Canada? Take your time.
I was born in 1957. I came to Canada in 77 via New York. Went from St. Thomas, Jamaica to Brooklyn, New York, which was quite a transition back in the day.
How old are you when you're in Brooklyn, New York now? Give us the timeline.
Probably around 10. I got to New York in 1967.
So at 10 years old, and I'm gonna guess that you're too young to go out to the events that were going on featuring people like Kool Herc and stuff. Were you able to experience as a child the sound systems? Do you have any lingering memories of actually feeling that era that so many people can't talk about because they weren't there? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, I was there. I was there. I mean, I've known Kool Herc from I was probably about 12 or 13, somewhere around there. So Flatbush was an area where a lot of this stuff happened before it even went mainstream. And I was very fortunate to be a good part of that for a long period of time. You know, I met the Kool Hercs, the Run DMCs, the Sugar Hill Gangs. I was very fortunate to be able to work with those guys from back in the day.
Like, really, when did you become Carl Allen? Let's go back to that magic moment where you discovered that this is what you wanted to do and this is where you belong.
Well, this is not something I ever wanted to do. I had to do it.
Oh, really?
My stepdad had started the first DJ pool in Canada, West Indian DJ pool back in the 70s. It was Jackie Valasek and Daniel Corderon.
Daniel Calderon.
Yeah.
That's my man, I remember.
From way back when. And Jackie Valasek. But Jackie went on to be the head of We in Music in the States. So this year makes 50 years. I'm 66 this year, so it makes 50 years. This is my 50th anniversary in this team called music.
Congratulations. Let me give you a big congratulations, man. You said 50 years?
50.
This is your 50th anniversary.
Yes, sir. And it's still good to me. It still has never been a job. I love what I do, and I love pleasing people. And I can make people happy. That's what I do.
Let's talk about the old school for a second now. I don't go back far enough to have things in my head the way you have in your head and some of the other DJs on this bill, right? And I know you're gonna be, again, doing your thing and pleasing people with music come July 2nd, but for those of us who weren't there, let's look at the trajectory a little bit of how you, like, where did you first start playing in Toronto that people can remember or don't remember, and then what came after that? Talk a little bit about that period of time where, you know, you could see something building in Toronto. Maybe you didn't know what it was, but you were part of it and you felt it.
I mean, I think I go back to starting high school dances back in the 70s, actually, at Lamoureux Collegiate when that was first built. It was the first open concept school in Toronto, actually, or Ontario, that I can remember.
Lamoureux, in Scarborough.
Yes, it was the first open concept high school.
So Scarborough again has, let me see, so Scarborough has a place in our history as far as old school is concerned, right? Some people are like, why are you doing it in Scarborough at Mirage or at Twilight now it's called, but I'm like, Scarborough does have some history, and I was wondering if you could help make that more accountable. So you're saying that Lamoureux High School, what's that, at Finch and Warden? Is it Warden?
In fact, the vice principal, Mr. Byford, was a good friend of mine because I was doing some community-based work at the school, and suggested have a school dance, and that's how that all came to be. You know, and I contacted Warren Sunshine, you know, and brought the idea to him, and he brought out his Altec Voice of the Theater speakers, first time any school dance that was ever seen, and that was 1979.
You didn't say Servant Vega. What did he bring out?
Altec Voice of the Theaters before he had Vegas.
And how did they sound compared to the Vegas? Because you played on it. So let me, from a sound man point of view, let us know that.
Much cleaner system. So Altec predates JBL. So JBL was spawned from Altec Lansing from Michigan. Much cleaner, not as deep bottom ends. We were running 8 and 8, 8 double 18s on each side, double 15s, and some top ends.
High School Dances was one of the first players in the movement, so to speak, from what you can remember. You said when Lamoureux was first built, you played there. You mean in the first year of the building being built? Do you remember what year that was? Like what year are we talking about?
79, 80.
79, 80. I guess we could Google it and find out and stuff like that, but that is cool. And there was a roller rink not far from there. So okay, I'm going to give you back the microphone.
Okay, yeah. So it all started with Lamoureux, and then we spawned into the roller rinks. I mean, we didn't have any radio stations here really playing funk and soul. So we had to listen to either WFO 1080 on the AM dial, which went from 9 to 5, like a job, before the House of Hounds started, which spawned WBLK. Right, that's where we got all our music from. So we used to drive down. For real, drive to New York City to buy 2 12 inches and drive back for an event. 10 hours one way, 10 hours the other way. We used to do that on a weekly basis. When Record Theater had our numbers, you know, when stuff came in, Record Theater would call us and say, this is it. Stuff like One Nation, my stepdad got the first copy of One Nation, 15-minute and 16-second 12-inch version of this. I got a box of this stuff at home still.
Wow. And this is not for selling records. This is for just having them to play.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna guess this again. I wasn't there for a lot of this, but one of the reasons you did it was because there's a competitive element to playing out as a DJ at that time when you're playing with other DJs. So one of the things we read about, in case you weren't there, is how DJs at the time used to cover up the label with another label so that the DJs looking over their shoulder when they're playing can't see exactly what they're playing or know where to find it. So what would you say was the inspiration for having the energy to drive to New York, which takes 8 hours if you speed, 10 hours if you don't? Did you speed?
Oh,
yeah. So
To be the first one to have a song to be playing at a jam. I mean, that was all about that back in the day. The first person to drop a 12-inch, the first person to drop a special mix of something, stuff like Charlie Says, One Nation. When Rappers Delight first came out, it never came to Canada. We had to go to get it and bring it back here. And that's how we got it back here first time. And there was a Sunshine Dance that launched here in Canada was Rappers Delight.
you were the first person to play Rappers Delight in Toronto on vinyl, possibly?
I'd say Sunshine Sound Crew was the first one on vinyl that I can recall. So that was myself, JC, Tony, the whole crew. I mean, it was a collective. It wasn't any one DJ at the time.
You're not saying you were part of Sunshine though, at the time?
I was part of Sunshine, I was part of Maceo. I was kind of the drop-in guy. I was the guest guy for everybody. Sunshine, Maceo, did some work with Kilowatt, Mr. Magic, GQ Supreme Team with George. We go way back. It's a whole family from back in the day.
What's your memories of City Crew, for example? They were from Buffalo, these guys. When they came up here, they played hard. So we're talking to DJ Carl Allen. For those who are just tuning in, we're doing a pre-record because Carl works during the live IG time. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the City Crew Buffalo relationship.
Well, when City Crew first came up here, I knew DJ Stoney, and he predated City Crew. So Stoney actually told me about City Crew before they came in Toronto. So I met Stoney in New York, and he then went to Buffalo. So when they came here, they didn't expect what they expected because Toronto has some of the best DJs in the world, bar none, right? And when City Crew came here, they played hard, but you know what? We had some of the best DJs here, so they had to do a lot of work. And we actually sent them back to Buffalo one time. So. But they came back, you know, these are my boys, Ben, George and those guys did some really good things for us up here. They brought some different music, different styles of mixing, and it was dope.
Do you remember do you remember the first time seeing somebody bring a drum machine into a dance instead of just relying on turntables? I guess an MC might rap over it or a DJ might scratch over it, but I remember the drum machine being something that you could use as a tactic when you're playing back then, and the era was a little competitive.
Well, no, I think before that even happened was the Roland Space Echo.
The Roland
Space Echo.
Okay, so for those who don't know, tell them what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about, but let them know.
The Roland Space Echo was an effect unit. It was about 10 inches. It was you created some amazing effects on the microphone, on the music, basically for the mic. You know, it was used mostly for the mic to give the DJ, the MC, more effect on his mic, more depth, more sound. You know what I mean?
Clean.
And very, very clean, and a lot of effects. You know, he can double up his voice, he can double up words. You know what I mean? And that made the difference from one MC to the other. You know, before everybody sounded the same, all of a sudden you hear this guy say, welcome, welcome.
Reggae people take that over after.
Well, the Space Echo became a big part of that reggae scene.
Yeah. Do you think it came from reggae and then over to?
I don't know. I wasn't in the reggae scene so much, but I know Sunshine had it way back when.
Carl Allen, one of 10 DJs that night that we're honoring with Life Achievement Awards, and for having helped pave the way and making you play the way that you play today as a DJ, whether you want to believe that or not. So again, big up Kool Herc. And you said you had a relationship with Kool Herc, which is amazing to me again. I mean, Kool Herc is a man who basically created the blueprint for hip hop, and you've spent time with this man.
Yeah, man, Egyptian Lover. And Egyptian Lover, because Egyptian Lover was the one who started the West Coast vibe. So West Coast was more electro back in the day before, you know, more West Coast rap. If you listen to West Coast now, I mean, it's all the up-tempo funk that they actually sampled for their beats now, right?
Do you still talk to Kool Herc now then? Like, do you guys have each other's phone number and you call each other and say hi? Really, eh? So you can call Kool Herc anytime. That's nice, man. I hope he's in good health and stuff like that. DJ, I'm gonna guess that you're playing out 4 days out of the 7 days per week on a regular basis. Every month. Let me see if I won money or not here.
4 days playing live and 1 day streaming. A 6-hour stream every Wednesday, and then I do some residencies and then some one-off, a lot of corporate stuff. I've had the good fortune to be part of the Toronto Festival of Beer. You know, I had a chance to work with people like House of Pain, Naughty by Nature, De La Soul, and on and on. And also part of the crew that produces the RE Music Festival. On the other side, we've done all the reggae artists, everybody from Sean Paul, Sanchez, soca artists, Marshall Montano. We've been doing it for about 17 years, so I've had a chance to work with a lot of amazing artists, and I feel very blessed to be able to do so.
Sometimes we get bored and we look for new challenges because we've mastered our craft, and I'm wondering if you've felt at any time, not necessarily now, that you've reached that stage and you want to move on to do something else and maybe put DJing on hold, even if it's for 6 months, to focus on another project. Have you ever reached that point in your life?
No.
No?
No, I've always done a lot of different things all at the same time. So DJing is something that it's something I love to do. You know, the idea of being able to put two things together and have people dance to things they didn't know they wanted to dance to before they came into the place I'm in. Right? You know, the ability to read a room is, I think, one of my best assets. And on top of that, it's fun. It's still fun. It's never become a job, you know. But in between that, though, while DJing, I also own restaurants. I have a production company. You know, I produce festivals. I drive a tractor trailer. You know what I mean? I have an AZ license. You know, they need truck driver. No, just kidding. But I do have an AZ license. But you diversify yourself, right? Because if the music thing fell through, what would you do? You know, I don't have to worry about that. I own a bunch of restaurants. I mean, all that's being paid for through the vinyl and now the digital.
You've got DJ in the blood, it seems like. So now there's a youth out there. Tell us a little story about that.
Well, my son, DJ Ty Hale, amazing DJ. I mean, surprises me sometimes, teaching me some stuff now. He's been doing this since about 10 years old. He's been taking my records literally from about 7 or 8 years old. And then when he was 10, he started actually blending 2 songs together to freak me out. And he's been doing that for a living right now. He's also in university. He's in his 3rd year of psychology at U of T. So once again, he's diversifying what he's doing. He's also a server, he DJs, and he also produces.
You know, one of the things I asked Carl, I said, look, Carl, you know, we're honoring you with an award and we're going to give you dinner, but it's up to you if you want to play or not. You remember what you said?
Oh, I'm playing.
He just said
Put
it
me in,
again.
coach. I am playing. I am playing that now. I like to play, and I like to play for my friends. You know what I mean? It's been a long time since I played with all the guys that I know from back in the day, so it'll be a lot of fun. I will be there. I will then finish that. I'll move on, do what I have to do after the fact. But this is something. This guy here, he means a lot to music as well. You don't understand. Even though he's just presenting this guy's a foundation as well.
Tell me your greatest memory of seeing Maceo do their thing, if you can flash back a little bit, because since I didn't see Maceo and you were there at the same time, I'm sure there's a lot of snapshot memories, but can you think of one specific time that you will give Maceo their props?
I mean, Yuri, Eddie, and Winston. That is Maceo. For you to know, Yuri and Eddie were both the 2 DJs. So Maceo and Sunshine, they have to be in the same conversation.
Okay.
So Maceo had the cleaner system, Sunshine had the heavier system. Maceo did the soca, more soca, and then Warren did more the reggae and the old school vibe. The DJs, Yuri is one of the best DJs I've known for years, still today. Being on the road with Maceo over a few caravanas, I think that was probably one of my best and lasting memories for them with those guys. Parties over at the Party Center, over on Church Street.
Oh, yeah. 167 Church.
167 Church.
Condos there now.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like there was so many different times and places that we've been between Hagerman's Hall, the Sonic Temple, like you name it, you know. And every time they came to play.
Because we were so starved of black music, this is what other people, like, we didn't have it like you guys have it now. We didn't have nightclubs to choose from and banquet halls that have parties every night. So in order to hear the music that we were teased with on the radio, the next best place to get it was to go out to these events. So I remember, you know, me being that kind of, that audience, that culture, and I didn't know exactly what was going on, but one of the reasons that it appealed to me was the sound system itself, because when music is amplified, it's different than when you listen on your phone and Spotify. You get to appreciate the quality of the production and the engineering and the mastering, and black music has a way of appealing to, it did with me anyway, with bass, with bottom ends. So we're talking about a time, correct me if I'm wrong, when you're at a party, Maceo may not have a reputation for smooth blending back and forth or anything like that, but they did good musical programming. And whether it was them playing or Sunshine playing, the walls were shaking. The whole building was rattling. You could feel the vibrations through your body. Go back to that time for me.
Maple Leaf Ballroom.
Yes.
Figure 34 AA-18s, Vegas, 8 G412s, 60 32s, and about 30,000 watts of power. We shook some dust from the ceiling, and you'd watch the walls sweat all around the whole place. And at the end of the night, you literally had to mop that stuff outside because it was so hot and sweaty, but nobody left. There was never a problem. Nobody worried about paying $5 to get into it. Yeah, I said that, $5.
How much was a beer?
I think $2.
$2
$1.50, even after 50 cents for the tip.
What were people drinking? Were they drinking Heineken back then?
50 and blue.
Labatt's 50 and blue?
And blue.
So we were drinking Canadian beer.
Canadian beer from
back in the
then.
early years.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you drink Canadian beer?
No, I didn't drink
Because I
beer.
hate the taste of Canadian beer.
I didn't drink. I was never a beer drinker. As a DJ, I didn't drink because I had to go to the bathroom too much.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, right? So, no, there's an old school scene here. Just to put things in perspective again, we're talking about a time where there is no rap stars in Toronto. there's not one person. I've heard of a guy named Butch Lee at the time, but he's not a star in the sense that he's put records up, but he hangs out and
Butch
he's
Lee
not
and
even
Tony
a
King.
rapper, he's an MC.
And Tony
So
King.
I'm going to give you back the mic so you can correct me, because again, I was just a kid, and before I heard Michie Me, I heard of Butch Lee, and I associated him with the Sunshine Sound, and they mentioned that he is kind of part of the Sunshine Sound, but I've never talked to him. I don't, if I saw him today, I wouldn't know what he looked like, but it's still I don't remember who came after that. I don't remember a second MC, but I know that when sound systems played their music, and there were no rap stars at the time, there was the birth of the MC who had the microphone and did these little ad libs and jokes, etc., and that person played a vital part.
Well, going back to then, I mean, Butch Lee, and he's actually still rapping right now. He's doing more ragged stuff right now. He's doing really, really well. Butch Lee and Tony Kane were the two Sunshine MCs.
Okay, Tony who? That's so we know.
Tony Kane.
Kane, like Big Daddy Kane.
Yeah, it's C-A-I-N.
Okay.
So there were the two Sunshine MCs, and they're two totally different types of rappers. Butch was hard, Tony was smooth. Tony got the girls, Butch got the guys all hyped up. And that predated Michie, predated Maestro, predated everybody back.
Predated Brother Different as well.
Even Brother Different. Brother Different came along after the fact. Brother Different came a few years after Tony and Butch were doing their thing. And it started funny. It started as a joke, and you want this white guy want to grab the mic, and we're like, here's the mic.
Oh,
He took the mic, and you know what? People went nuts, and from that point on, Brother Different, because he was different. He wasn't a black MC.
Brother Different was one of the people who I think can get credit for breaking down those racist barriers, because he sounded very black at times and told very West Indian jokes, and basically, became that guy, and you can go back to the very first moment before we ever saw Brother Different on the microphone to tell us how exactly that happened. So if you remember where it happened or the year, let us know that as well, Carl. Take your time, tell the story. We're curious about this one.
The year I can't give you exactly, but this actually started in Tony Duncan's basement over in Dunsfold.
Tony Duncan from Sunshine.
From Sunshine.
Tony D.
That's Tony D. We had a house party, and we always had house parties at Tony's house. And
Really?
oh yeah,
In Scarborough?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh yeah.
In Malvern.
In Malvern.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Tony was from Malvern.
Oh yeah, right in Malvern there. So yeah, I mean, we used to do some massive house parties in Malvern. His mom opened the house for all of us, so we were like family. And here comes this little white kid. It was one of Tony's friends. I mean, he was a diehard Maple Leaf fan. Every time you saw Different, he was wearing a Maple Leaf t-shirt. You know what I mean? He'd had season tickets before we even knew what season tickets were. And he wanted MC. And we wouldn't let him, and then one night, he said, yeah, we gave him the mic, and he started talking, everybody loved it, you know what I mean? And then from that, we did Masonic Temple at Markham and Ellesmere.
Oh, I'm in the Sonic Temple.
Yeah. At Markham and Ellesmere, and we featured Different. Brother Different was on the flyer for his first time, and from that, it was history. Brother Different went everywhere Sunshine went, and was well received, accepted, and loved by everybody. His name is Gary Plowman, to be exact, not just Brother Different.
Put Kilowatt in perspective for me. What's your memories of Kilowatt and how they fit in?
Kilowatt was Mississauga. We met coincidentally at an event. I was doing an event, his crew happened to be there, and we just got along. And Carl was one of the most meticulous guys when it came to how his sound was, how his lights was, how his DJ played, and also a dope DJ. So Kilowatt put Mississauga on the map as far as parties, clubs, DJs, and MCs went. That was Carl. That he started that whole thing way 81? 81, I want to say.
Yeah. Kilowatt Sound also had a female MC, one of the first that we know. Lady P, we'll shout her out. And again, there weren't a lot of female MCs that we can even remember. They were more or less featured, and then they came out as soon as they came in.
Yeah, I mean, female MCs were far and few between. And Lady P was one of the best we had from back then. You know, I mean, I think she was spawned through Fuller G, if I'm not mistaken. And my boy Fuller just took her and just showed her the way. And she was around for quite a few years, and then she disappeared off the scene. because of course the men came and kind of pushed her out of the way.
Yeah, we laugh, but
It happened, but when she was around, it was something different. Women felt good in a party, knowing that there's another woman in the party as part of the event, not just as eye candy.
I give Kilowatt props for being a creative crew, creative thinkers, because when I did deal with Kilowatt, I know they went out of their way to think through how they're going to make an impression at the next dance, even if it came down to gimmicks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he still does it to this day. I mean, with that sound. You know, I mean, you look at anything he does right now, it's above and beyond what anybody else is kind of doing at the moment, right? And that's how Carl kind of put Kilowatt out there, you know, as the best crew with the best production, you know what I mean? And it was all looking pretty. It's funny, I literally raised all these guys. I mean, we all grew up together, and I'm older than all of them.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow. You're Canada's oldest active DJ.
Probably. So, Ebony Sound Crew, funny story. So, my first DJ name was Ebony Sounds Unlimited.
Your first?
My first DJ name, when we were doing the Lamoureux School dances, was Ebony Sounds Unlimited. And then some years later, somebody said, "Hey, somebody stole your name."
Whoa!
And then I met Eddie, was formed Ebony Sound Crew with Quincy and Stacy. Right, but it was all love, man. You know, I was never using the name after that anyway, so I was never a sound crew. It was just the name we needed when we were doing events and stuff like that. PKO, Mr. Barry Booth, probably one of the nicest men you'll ever meet in your life. You know, Barry had a mission to do some good parties, some grown folk parties. You know what I mean? Parties where people had to dress up, had to come out and look good, feel good, and do good. And love him for that. To this day, he's still doing his thing. You know, Barry still got his shop up in Pickering there. I drive from here to Pickering to get equipment when I could actually go down the street from my house to get it, because I love these guys so much for what they've done and what they've done for me and for the music. I mean, we missed a big gap. I mean, roller skating is a huge part of what we have now, because without roller skating, a lot of the funk would not have been heard in the city, very simply because we had no outlets for it here. No radio stations were actually playing funk or soul like that, you know what I mean? So if you came to the roller, that's where you got your education. That's where you heard the Charlie Says. That's where you heard the One Nation for the first time, you know what I mean? Before you went out to a dance, because nobody went out to a dance back then, right? You know, so the roller rings played a big role from Roller Palace, Roller World in Midland and Scarborough. I mean, people, and to this day, I'm still doing roller rings. I mean, I started roller rings, and to this day, I'm still doing roller rings. I'm still doing scooters and a couple of new places, and it's still all about the old school. I bring people into things. I mean, I might create something, but I don't own it. I bring DJs, you know what I mean? My friend Mark, these are started scratch. I met him back in '91, you know what I mean? He came here as a new DJ, you know what I mean? I introduced him to a lot of people. A lot of the guys that are playing right now, I mean, I met them when they first started, you know, and we're good friends to this day, you know what I mean? But there's something we share, music you share, you know what I mean? I never covered up my labels because, you know what, most people couldn't get the records I got.
Ain't not like the old school, Carl, and people don't understand sometimes that feeling of, you know, when we hear the music that you play and we can just snap back into that era of beauty and innocence and cultural upliftment and struggle still, you know, being new to Canada was one of the unique things of it all, because Black people were divided back then. We were all split up, and when we found things that could unite us under one umbrella, the music was a very important common denominator. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? One of the roller rinks never thought about them being the outlet for Black people or Black music. Somebody from our community, I don't know if you were involved in the very first time it happened, but went and approached that venue and said, you know, and this is after they had a vision from being in there and looking at the space and imagining what a sound system would sound like in there, and then having the business ethics to make it happen. So again, you're humble, but was it you who did the very first roller? Like you said, you started that movement, but is that the story?
Yeah, actually, at Scarborough Roller Palace with the Beal family, Randy Beal and his family, they're the first family roller skating. So they were owned 6 rinks at the time. They were the first ones to bring the sound system when I was playing into the Roller Palace. You know, it was something else, man. Warren loaded that place up. I think we probably had about 32 speakers in this little space.
Would he take it out and then put it back in?
Warren would bring a full rack of speakers, 3 amp racks, probably about 10 of us to loading and loading.
Okay.
And
So
then
the rink never invested in a permanent sound system.
the rink had a sound system, but they didn't need what Warren brought.
Ah.
I mean, what Warren brought was an overkill, but it was a great sense of overkill. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to skate, the bass kind of moved you around. Like, every time the bass dropped, it kind of pushed you ahead. And the amount of air that those speakers are moving was enough to keep it going around and around and around.
I'm gonna be happy to be inside that room, that fraternity, with all these great DJs, these history makers, these shapeshifters, trendsetters, leaders, not followers, influencers. You know, these guys are not just DJs, these are people who gave their lives to their craft and are still doing it today. And it's important to honor them. I think, you know, I've gotten flowers and I keep saying to people, give people their flowers when they're alive. You know, it's the most beautiful thing. Don't be late jumping on the bandwagon, okay? Like, we need to identify and give people their love now. Okay, we're all getting older. Carl is 66, I'm 60, and I thought I'd been in this business 40 years too late. He's been in it over 50 years. This is 50th year of being Carl Allen and being in the business. So again, congratulations on that. That's a great honor, man. That's an amazing thing.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's a labor of love, 100%. Sounds a little cheesy, but I love this shit. I love the people who come out. I love entertaining people. Oh, this guy here, been my sponsor for 30 years. Mr. Hunter Miles, Toronto, once again. Yeah, so we're just gonna go through some of these flyers from back in the day, take a little trip down memory lane. This flyer here is a very special one. Back in '95, there's a huge AIDS crisis, and we decided to put a show together. And Dougie Fresh, Craig Mack, Blase, all donated their time to come to Toronto and do this show back in 1995. Now, this weekend is a very special weekend because 3 days after this, we had the Notorious B.I.G. downtown. It's an arcade downtown. The Ready to Die tour featuring myself. Yeah, so the only time Big ever came to Toronto, I had the good fortune of playing with them, and a lot of things happened that night which we can't talk about on camera.
I heard about some of those
A
things.
whole lot of them, you know.
Nice.
So from '95, then we moved on. You know, a few years ago we did an event called the Bone Beach Bash through CKLN, which Ron and I have been part of for, God,
Years.
a very, very long period of time. You know, this event here featured Bounty Killer, featured Maya, athletes from all over the world. It was a great event, and they'll never let it happen again because it's done at Q Beach, and they literally had to close down the Gardner because the amount of people that showed up for this event. You know, the beaches. You know, and I've been fortunate to work with a lot of good artists as well. Cameron, Sierra.
Been collecting flyers for a while?
Oh, a little bit, you know. A lot of fashion shows. Calvin Klein, Kenneth Cole. This is kind of a cool article here where in 79, I was one of the top 10 DJs in the city.
According to, what newspaper is that?
The Toronto Star.
Toronto Star, nice. How much did you pay the guy?
It was free.
Alright.
I think I did a wedding for his kid or something.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. This was one of my biggest accomplishments, SOS Club on Spadina. We launched this in 1997, 14,000 square foot space on Spadina. We did everybody from Little Louis Vega, Funk Star Deluxe, some locals, Carlos Morgan. You know, that was all part of a brand that I created back then. So on Spadina. You know, this day is one of the biggest clubs in the Spadina area. And we can't forget the Rocket nightclub, which we started back in '91. Rocket was kind of the first dress-up R&B club in the city.
I remember Rocket.
After the concert hall,
Yep.
you know, Rocket was.
That was when the all ages era ended and people had choices now of going to different 19 and over venues that
And then
specialize in their
My
music.
boy Jaheem, when he first came out, you know, he performed SOS for me one of my opening nights. Did me a song for that through Universal Music at the time. You know, of course, I've been involved with Caribana for many years as part of all the mass camps. You know, this was through Pride Magazine. I was working with Big Louis Saldina at the time when he first started. And that's going way, way back in time. Right. You know, Dina Howard, she played at my bar as well, SOS. You know, a lot of articles on me, you know, through Now, Toronto Star as well.
You're always
Club
well liked,
culture.
Carl. Always.
I try to keep, you know, try to keep a good vibe, keep a good energy with people. This is a dope article with, this goes back to the 70s. As you can notice the dress and the boom boxes. I think once again I was listed here as one of the top 10 DJs in Canada at the time actually.
Nice.
And this is, yeah, way back in the day.
It's a good artifact.
I try to keep a bunch of this stuff. And, you know, the Twilight Zone, you know, as part of that whole culture as well, the whole house culture back in the early 80s. You know, I had a good fortune to work with the Assoon brothers who came from Scarborough.
Yep, the Assoons. There's George.
The Twilight Zone reunion, did a few of those. This is another bar I used to have called Alto Basso over on College Street. It was late 90s.
When you own bars, sometimes you own them in partnership with other people, right? Or do you,
I do it myself.
do it yourself?
And of course my old CKLN card from way back.
I remember the CKLN cards. Nice.
You know, my updated version. Yeah, because they're every Sunday from 1 to 4 for 26 years.
Wow. They got Dave Ahmad.
Dave Ahmad brought me in, and thank
And
you
you
very
never
much.
left.
No, I never left. No, I didn't. I took over the show till they moved into the new building. This is another huge event for the Urban Cool Awards. I think I got my Lifetime Achievement Award for this one. A lot of amazing DJs at this event.
JC from the original Sun.
Yeah.
Carl Allen from the original. Wow, they have you down as a Sunshine crew member here. Really? Would you say, like, how do you feel about that? I did not put your picture as a member of Sunshine. I put you as DJ Carl Allen.
Well, that's what it was. I was part of the crew, but I was also my individual self, right? I was just DJ Carl Allen. I wasn't a Sunshine crew. Yeah, this was Delta Capital Events Theater. This one again, yeah. Yeah.
Who's on the bill for this one?
Everybody.
Shaw Claire After Party. Wow. Baby Blue, remember them? Yeah. They had to get Carl Allen on there.
And this, of course, my restaurant, Irie Food Joint, which opened up.
Today's your restaurant? Right now it's open?
Well, no, we closed in 2019 after 20 years. Opened 99 to 2019. We had two locations. We turned it into Harlem and Harlem Underground with my partner Carl Cassell. I mean, that was a labor of love too. First semi-fine dining West Indian style restaurant in Toronto. And of
We're
course,
with Carl Allen, people, in case you're tuning in. That's the man right beside me right now. We're looking through some of his archives, and we want to
Midnight
thank him
Star.
for sharing them with us too.
once again, another massive event I was happy to be part of.
They were the headliners, Midnight Star.
Yeah.
Who else was on here? FM Comedian,
Yeah.
Canada's Best Sold,
Liberty.
Liberty Silver.
Yes.
Wow, we're going way back.
And I still work with Liberty to this day. Actually, I have a
Nice.
couple shows coming up. Oh, this was, I used to do Friday nights at the ROM for several years. We used to do a DJ event every Friday at the ROM, which was really, really dope. And of course, Miss Sierra, worked with her at my bar as well.
She autographed this for you.
Yeah,
She look good in real life like she does in the picture?
absolutely. Me and her again.
Yeah.
And of course, cameo at Atlantis, Larry Blackman's voice.
You saw a cameo.
Oh, I played with cameo. Yeah, just a lot of good times, man, you know. This was also a very special event. I worked with Alicia Keys, Chaos, at the Rico Coliseum. An AIDS benefit we did. It was an amazing show. Everybody donated their times for this event. That's done with myself and a good friend of mine, Toa Beer.
Oh, I know Toa.
Yeah, so she organized this whole thing.
Toa's fierce.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that was a huge event.
Very skilled.
Yeah, just a little touch what we did, you know.
That's nice. Is that it?
Yeah.
Is it for the tour for now?
I could've
You just
bought a
kind of
few
grab what
volumes.
you got at the moment. I know.
I could
Like-
have bought a few volumes.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that you collect things.
Actually, if we were in my basement, my wall.
It's like a Hall of Fame wall?
Pictures, yeah. 100%,
Yeah?
yeah.
Wow. I love
You're
it.
on that wall.
Am I on the wall?
You're on the wall.
Wow, wow.
You know?
I got a star on the floor somewhere, but I don't think I have your kind of wall.
No, the wall's dope, man. We've had everybody's up in there. All the artists I've been fortunate to work with. Yeah, even this was one of my restaurants I had down on Young Street, Soul Food Bistro. Ended up working with guys like Pat Morita from The Karate Kid, Edward James Olmos.
Are you ever going to write a book?
There's been a few starts. You know,
Okay.
there are a few documentaries that were done. One was done on City TV. A couple of writers from now, I think his name Benjamin Bowles, started one. We never actually got it finished yet, but I think we're going to continue that at some point.
All right. Well, I want to thank you again, Carl, for passing through, and look forward to seeing you at...
And hearing me.
Absolutely. You're going to play.
I'm playing.
All right.
I'm bringing my headphones.
All right. Look forward.
I want to thank you for this, Ron. I appreciate it very much, my friend.
Love it, man.